Hi everyone, my name is Angelica, and today for my reading workshop I'm gonna be reading Narnia, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This is my student Edgar. First I'm gonna read a little bit of the book, and then we're gonna ask him some questions to see if he understood what we were reading. So let's get started. Narnia, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Once there were 4 children whose names were Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. This story is about something that happened to them when they were sent away from London during the war because of the air raids. They were sent to the house of an old professor who lived in the heart of the country, 10 miles from the nearest railway station and 2 miles from the nearest post office. He had no wife and had lived in a very large house with a housekeeper called Mrs. Macready and 3 servants. Their names were Ivy, Margaret, and Betty, but they do not come into the story much. He himself was a very old man with shaggy white hair which grew over most of his face as well as on his head, and they liked him almost at once. But on the first evening, when he came out to meet them at the front door, he was so odd-looking that Lucy, who was the youngest, was a little afraid of him, and Edmund, who was the next youngest, wanted to laugh and had to keep on pretending he was blowing his nose to hide it. As soon as they had said good night to the professor and gone upstairs on the first night, the boys came into the girls' room and they all talked it over. "We've fallen on our feet and no mistake," said Peter. "This is going to be perfectly splendid. That old chap will let us do anything we like." "I think he's an old dear," said Susan. "Oh, come off it," said Edmund, who was tired and pretending not to be tired, which always made him bad-tempered. "Don't go on talking like that." "Like what?" said Susan. "And anyway, it's time you were in bed." "Trying to talk like mother," said Edmund. "And who are you to say when I'm going to bed? Go to bed yourself." "Hadn't we all better go to bed?" said Lucy. "There's sure to be a row if we're heard talking here." "No, there won't," said Peter. "I tell you this is the sort of house where no one's going to mind what we do. Anyway, they won't hear us. It's about 10 minutes walk here from from here down to the dining room, and any amount of stairs and passages in between." "What's that noise?" said Lucy suddenly. It was a far larger house than she had ever been in before, and the thought of all those long passages and rows of doors leading into empty rooms was beginning to make her feel a little creepy. "It's only a bird, silly," said Edmund. "It's an owl," said Peter. "This is going to be a wonderful place for birds. I shall go to bed now. I say, let's go and explore tomorrow. You might find anything in a place like this. Did you see those mountains as we came along? And the woods? There might be eagles. There might be stags. There will be hawks." "Badgers," said Lucy. "Foxes," said Edmund. "Rabbits," said Susan. But when the next morning came, there was a steady rain falling, so thick that when you looked out of the window you could see neither the mountains, nor the woods, nor even the steam in the garden. "Of course it would be raining," said Edmund. They had just finished their breakfast with the professor and were upstairs in the room he had set apart for them, a long, low room with 2 windows out in one direction and 2 in another. "Do stop grumbling, Ed," said Susan. "10 to 1 it'll clear up in an hour or so, and in the meantime we're pretty well off. There's a wireless and lots of books." "Not for me," said Peter. "I'm going to explore in the house." Everyone agreed to this, and that was how the adventures began. It was the sort of house that you never seem to come to an end of, and it was full of unexpected places. The first few doors they tried led only into spare rooms, as everyone had expected that they would. But soon they came to a very long room full of pictures, and there they found a suit of armor. And after that was a room all hung with green, with a harp in one corner. And then came 3 steps down and 5 steps up, and then a kind of little upstairs hall and a door that led out onto a balcony, and then a whole series of rooms that led into each other and were lined with books. Most of them were very old books, and some bigger than a Bible in a church. And shortly after that, they looked into a room that was quite empty except for one big wardrobe, the sort that has a looking glass in the door. There was nothing else in the room at all except a dead blue bottle on the window sill. Okay, so now I'm gonna ask him some questions. First, did you know about this book before?
Not the book exactly, but maybe the movie.
The movie. Did you watch the movie?
Yes,
Do you like it?
yes, I love it.
Okay. What do you think? So, based on the movie, what do you think the story will be about?
Well, in a personal experience, it's about four brothers, well, two brothers and two sisters, uh, and they find another magic word, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and they help people to came in peace
Mm-hmm.
because they world it's in war, something
Mm-hmm.
like this.
Okay. So, do you remember the end? And if so, how would you change the end? Like a different ending that you think will be better for the story?
I remember that they how can I grow up,
Mhm.
yes,
Yes.
and I, they found the how can I say armario,
Wardrobe.
the wardrobe,
Mhm.
and return to the re-
Real world.
real world.
Mhm.
And well, in my personal opinion, would be better if they um, didn't find the
The wardrobe.
wardrobe. Sorry,
Mhm.
again.
So that they would stay in Narnia, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, um, were there any words that you didn't understand in the reading that you were like, what does this mean?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Were there any words that you didn't understand while I write?
Uh, armor.
Armor? Okay.
Um, I think it's the only one.
Okay. Armor is one of the suits that the knights use, like one of
Okay.
those metal suits that with the
Then I like when they fight with dragons or
yes,
something like
exactly. That's
this.
an armor. Okay, so I think that would be all. Thank you so much.